PT is not like IELTS. It's not a hardcore grammar exam. It's not a hardcore vocab-based exam. There's IELTS for that. PT is a strategy-based exam.
I am really fluent. Then how many scores I can get in speaking?
Recently, I had a student come to me who had a very good English, Shivi, good English, and he wasn't getting his desired, and he had given PT 7 times.
Without being biased towards English-wise, how do you really choose the right trainer? Because in terms of the course prices, everybody is quite similar.
Because it's for $480.
Yeah, it's expensive now.
It's expensive. And students who've given it 6-7 times, just imagine the amount of money they've wasted.
I spent a few $100s. Wow, that's a very fresh perspective. I'm hearing this for the very first time.
And I have 2 words for them. Fraud alert. Scam alert.
Guys, welcome to English Wise PT podcast. We have Ragini with us today. She is a very versatile trainer, consultant, and manager here at English Wise Gold Coast. She's someone you can learn a lot from because she's got a very good overview of how PT looks like, how you have to prepare yourself for the exam. This conversation is going to be quite valuable. And I would love you to keep watching this and make some notes as well so that you can make the most out of it. Welcome to the podcast, Ragini. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Let's dive deep into our very first question. Yep. You consult students from a variety of backgrounds. Yep. Like you have students coming to you from Japan, from India, from Nepal, from Italy, South American students. And what do you see when it comes to the preparation for them? Can they all follow the same strategy and templates, or there has to be a completely different style of teaching for them?
Well, yes, there needs to be a different style of teaching for them. Why? Because everyone comes from a different background. Everyone follows different dialects of speaking. Everyone has thick accents. For example, if we talk about people from Europe, they have very thick accents. And unfortunately, that is a disadvantage in a way because the PT software might not catch their words. For example, let's talk about me. I come from India. For example, I'll give you an example. For example, the word measure. A lot of people back home say mayor, and we're okay with it. We're okay with it. Why? Because we've grown up listening to that word. But that doesn't make it the correct pronunciation in terms of PTE English. PTE English follows British English and American English. For another example, the word OUR. A lot of people say our, and we're okay with it because we understand it, but that doesn't make it the correct pronunciation. So when people come from Japan, Europe, they all have thick accents and they speak words in a certain way, which is a disadvantage. That's why you need a person to guide you through, who can point it out to you that this is not the correct pronunciation. If we talk about the English Wise software, if you don't know a pronunciation of a certain word, you can click on the word and listen to it. And that's really good. That's really good. That's what I tell all my students who face this issue, that if you don't know the pronunciation of a certain word, or if the software is telling you that this was not said correctly, you can always go and click on the word and listen to it. But of course, when you yourself don't know that what I'm doing is wrong, how can you correct it? That's why you need someone to guide you. That's where the role of a trainer comes into play, who can guide you that this is not said this way.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I would love to know more about pronunciation because my understanding is that fluency matters more in the exam. Is that true? Or how important your pronunciation is? How many marks does it carry? And what's the kind of importance that you would give to the pronunciation part of the test?
So for speaking, there's 3 parameters that you are judged upon. One is your content. Everything that you speak should make sense or should be written. For example, read aloud. We have a paragraph written in front of us and we need to carry it forward, right? Then comes your pronunciation and fluency. Now, fluency and pronunciation go hand in hand.
I see.
So if your fluency is going down, your pronunciation will go down. If your pronunciation is going down, if you're not pronunciating the words right, of course your fluency is not there, right? So the pace needs to be there, the balance of the pace. What I see with students, they'll start off fast and then the pronunciation, the fluency will go low. So you need to be at an even pace in order to get good marks. And of course, fluency is the most important thing.
I see. That's awesome. So in speaking, how important is fluency in terms of the percentage? Like if someone's getting 90 out of 90 in speaking, or I must take another example here. Let's say I have I scored like 55 or 66 out of 90
Yeah.
in speaking, then where am I really missing? Like, how bad is my fluency or pronunciation?
So it can be a problem of pronunciation also, as well as fluency as well. What happens with a lot of students when we're reading, we're doing mm, all of that. That is making your score go down. That is a major factor. 90% of the students do that. And what we work with the students, we tell them not to do this. This is now a habit. When we're reading, we do that normally.
Yes.
And it's a habit that you need to leave in order to get a good marks in speaking.
I see. And talking about the vocab side of the things, how important is your vocab in the PT test, and which module you're going to use the most?
So writing module, the vocabulary is really important there. In terms of PT, what does vocabulary mean? Vocabulary means basically using some big words. Now, basically, I'm saying this in terms of only PTE. Using some big words apart from your normal English. That is where your vocab gets points. Then apart from that, also in write from dictation, when we are doing, if you're listening to a sentence, if you don't know the word, how will you write it? If you don't know the spellings, how are you going to write it?
Yes.
Right? So having a good vocabulary is very important. We also give you a list of all the words which are coming in the recent exams.
I was going to ask you
like
that.
we do prediction files. So basically prediction files are something where we take 5 to 6 of the last exams. We put them in a file together and we give the student that this is the level of English which is coming in the recent exams.
Correct.
So that's not a guide for you to just do those questions and nothing apart from that, but it's a good insight for you to have. Which are the topics which are coming in the essay? Like recently, 50-cent cab fares, train fares just happened to make an entry in Queensland.
Yes.
So there was a test related to that. There was an essay topic related to the 50
really?
cent fares. Yes, so you do need to know what are the type of questions which are coming recently.
Yes.
So that gives a good insight. And then you can also see the words which are coming in right from dictation. So of course you can learn those new words as well. Apart from that, if you want to improve your vocabulary, what you can do is go through the list of the words which come in the recent tests. And apart from that, start reading some news apps as well. I think that's really important. Read. It's very important to improve your vocabulary, to get to know to new words that you can use in your essay. We follow templates, that's okay. But if you know a certain word which you feel can fit in well, then of course use that.
You got to put that effort and time into it. There's no substitute for that. I want to go back to the pronunciation and fluency part because I'm still not sure. Like I would like to know from you so that students can really pinpoint like what sort of percentage are we looking for? Like if I am really fluent, then how many scores I can get in speaking? Like
I think if you talk about it in terms of weightage, what is the weightage
that's
of
exactly what I
the
wanna
certain
know.
parameters? I think fluency really does take the 50% of it.
50%. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a big number.
That's a big number.
And pronunciation?
Pronunciation probably takes 25 and content as well 25.
I think that's a very fair distribution.
That's a fair distribution because yes, of course, fluency is the most important. That's what they're checking. Can you hold, what is PTE checking? PT is a test for non-native speakers. They are not expecting exceptional English from you. PT is not like IELTS. PT is a strategy-based exam. What they want to know is, can you hold a conversation?
Yeah.
Can you hold a conversation? Are you fluent enough to hold a conversation? In repeat sentences, what are they checking? They're checking your understanding. They're not checking how much you can memorize. So basically what PT is checking is your overall understanding of English. It's not a hardcore grammar exam. It's not a hardcore vocab-based exam. There's IELTS for that. There's ISLPR for that. PT is a strategy-based exam.
Strategic.
And absolutely. And what they're basically overall checking is your basic understanding of English.
Yeah.
In write essay, they give you a random topic. What are they checking? They are not checking the idea of thoughts that you have. They are checking that if this person who doesn't come from a native speaking country, if I give them a random topic, do they have thoughts about it? That's what they're checking. They're not checking your quality of thoughts. They're just checking, can you write about a certain thing if you are given a random topic?
Wow, that's a very fresh perspective. I'm hearing this for the very first time, and I'm really enjoying the conversation. I tend to ask similar questions in other podcasts as well, but your perspective is really clean, to the point, and fresh. So thank you so much. Guys, if you are watching this podcast, please share with your friends who are aiming to get a good score in PTE. This is going pretty good so far.
Yeah, awesome.
With the preparation time, you consult so many students throughout the weeks, months. I'm pretty sure you've consulted more than 1,000 students so far.
Absolutely.
What do you see is the biggest issue out there? Like, what's really stopping students to get the score they want when you consult them for the first time?
I think it can be very different for every student. I think it can be very, very different for every student. Some people might be focusing on just the fluency aspect of it, that they are struggling with fluency. Some people might be good at English, but not good at PTE. That's what I tell a lot of people.
Yeah.
That you might be good at English, but can you do PTE and get your desired score in the first attempt? No. The simple answer is no. If you don't have the proper training for it or the guidance for it, PTE is not just an English ball game. It's a strategic exam. You need to know the tricks. You need to know the certain templates in order to give PTE. It's not just about English. Recently, I had a student come to me. He had a very good English, Shivi. Good English. He was not very fluent, but he was using words which we don't use while speaking to someone. And he wasn't getting his desired score. And he had given PT 7 times without any training. So denial is a big factor. That, okay, my English is so good. Why am I not getting the score? I don't need coaching. Why am I not getting the score? And he had given PT 7 times.
There you go.
And
because they don't want to accept.
They don't want to accept
that they need training.
This is the denial factor, which is there in a lot of students. And I understand that you know that you have a good English, but you are not getting the PT score. Why? Because PT is not just checking your English, how good you are. You need to know a certain way that the PT exam is supposed to be given. You need to memorize certain templates. You need to know the tips and tricks in order to give the exam.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, though, that this student must have gone to YouTube, asked his friends for resources, and still didn't get the score straight 7 times. So what's really the issue? There is a lot of content out there.
There's a
good
pool of
content.
Knowledge. Yeah.
We're not going to deny this. I think there's good content on YouTube. But then why coaching, and why they need to go to like a proper center or an PT expert? What's really the difference?
Because every student is different. What is out there on YouTube is just catering to a blind audience, that this is for everyone. Something which is working for someone might not work for the other person. That is why it's important for a consultant or a trained professional to assess the student first, that this is where you stand. When a student comes to me first, in the first conversation, I can make out what is the problem, but I don't stop there. What we do is we open up the PT portal for them, and I make them do a certain number of questions. And it's in front of them how much they're scoring. And then you realize whether pronunciation is a problem, whether punctuation is a problem, whether the understanding of a certain aspect of something is a problem.
Yes.
So that's really important.
But if AI is there giving them the score, where does your role come into the picture? Or for that matter of fact, any PT trainer, like a human being, where is that value coming from?
Because it's not just AI is checking their exam, but we are the ones putting them on the right path. We are the ones pointing out that this is wrong and this is how it needs to be done.
Feedback, more
Absolutely.
From the feedback perspective.
Feedback is very important. You need a trained person to tell you that this is something which you are doing wrong. For example, if someone is pronouncing a word in a certain way and they keep on doing it because that is the pronunciation that they are aware of. This is how it's supposed to be done. If somebody doesn't come and tell them that this is not how it's supposed to be done, how will they know?
But can AI not tell them that you got to pronounce the word this way, not the other way?
I think just like I said, that the denial factor comes into play there as well. That no, this is right.
I see.
A lot of students do that.
Yeah.
A lot of students do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where we come into play. Like when I am also teaching, I sit with every student.
Yes.
when they're performing their questions.
Yes. So
That
that you
this
can.
is wrong, this is right. I'm always there. I take a round. I make students sit with me at the end of the day and I play their questions for them so
Yeah.
that they can themselves hear themselves.
Yes.
When students practice, what they do, they are performing a question and they see their score, they move ahead. They don't go back and listen to what how they've attempted it.
Yeah.
So that's really important. Once you listen to what you've done, you yourself can realize that, okay, maybe this was not right.
That's a good one. You're not here just to tick the boxes,
Yeah.
complete the mock test, take a pause. Evaluation is really important. And for that, the best evaluation can come from a PT expert.
Yeah.
How do they choose the PT expert? So many institutes, so many online trainers. Without being biased towards English wise, how do you really choose the right trainer? Because in terms of the course prices, everybody is quite similar.
Yeah.
But how do you really know that this is the place I need to go or this is the trainer I need to choose? How can you do that assessment?
I suggest students to go around 5-6 places before choosing one. Meet with the consultant. If you can, speak to the students there.
Yeah.
Have a look around the school. Meet with the students, speak to them, meet with the consultant, see what the consultant can offer you apart from what is already being offered by the other schools. If you come across a consultant which is offering you something more than what is already being offered, go for that one. Read their reviews, but go for that one.
Yeah. You
think
do a
that's
bit
why-
of assessment.
Yeah.
So that could mean reviews, any recommendations, seeing the actual place,
Yeah.
and then obviously the confidence. Sometimes, there are subtle nuances that you can pick up while speaking to the consultant.
Absolutely.
If this is the right place for me or not.
Absolutely. I've had students tell me that, okay, I actually connected with you. That's why I want to enroll.
Yeah.
They didn't check my credentials or anything.
Yeah. Just after
Right?
talking to you, they felt that I'm in the
Absolutely.
right place.
Absolutely. And we do offer free trials as well. I want to just say that to all the students who are preparing for PTE, go out and take a free trial. Decide for yourself.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think giving that opportunity is very rare. And I think you can only do that when you have confidence in yourself.
Absolutely.
I think what
Absolutely.
you're saying here really tells that you are personally very confident of your teaching skills and also giving students the opportunity to go around and see for themselves what is the right choice for them.
And make their own judgment.
Make their own judgment. I'm seeing a lot of fraud companies out there selling PT certificates, helping them to raise their scores. Have you come across any student or any company like that? And if you have, then what are your thoughts on that? If you could share a bit about something like this.
The answer to that question is every other day. Every other day, I have a student who comes up to me and says, okay, there is this organization that is giving me my PT score, my desired score for this amount. And I have 2 words for them: fraud alert, scam alert. This is a scam. There is no organization that is going to get you an official certificate from Pearson to give it to you on your desired score. If you are coming to me and you are scoring 30s or 40s, there's no way that you can just show a certain authority that you got an 80 or an 8 each. For example, now we have universities as well. Universities, firstly, for undergraduate students, they might seek a score of 60 to 70. And for graduate courses, you might need a 75 to 80. So if I have a dream university and I need to score 75 to 80 and I'm not being able to, these are the ones who fall prey to these scams. And what happens is that these universities, of course, they're going to go and recheck on the Pearson website.
Yes.
Of course, they will put in your registered ID. There's a registered ID on your scorecard. They will put in there and see that this certificate doesn't exist.
Yes.
Not just that, even a bigger problem, if you need a PT score for your immigration, do you think you can mess with immigration? What if they go and check your registered ID? Not just your PT will be cancelled, you will fall down a rabbit hole and the immigration officer will now question every other document that you've put in place.
Absolutely.
You will come under a radar.
Oh, yeah.
That if you have the guts to post a fake certificate, what about the other applications that you've sent? What about the other certificates that you've shared?
True.
That's a rabbit hole, never-ending rabbit hole that you don't want to fall under.
Absolutely. And I always say this, even if you get away with something like this, tomorrow you get your permanent residency, you get your citizenship. If they find this out after 5 years, they'll cancel every single thing.
Absolutely.
Your residency is gone, your citizenship is gone, you'll be thrown out of the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is not a risk worth taking, and you're not going to have a good night's sleep.
Yeah. And nothing
for the rest
comes
of
easy.
your life.
Nothing comes easy. Work hard for it. Get your score. Why can't we work hard for it?
Yeah, but
PT
they
is not
they
impossible.
leave it to the end. A lot of students, they leave it until the end.
Yeah,
they
do.
will not come and take the training until they've gone through 5, 6, 7 attempts.
Absolutely.
So, look, I've kind of given up on this because I've tried my best to educate students over the last 10 years, but mindset is hard to change. It is what it is. So how I see it is, what value I can add when someone's got a very short amount of time to prepare for the exam. So my question is, if someone comes to you, and I'm pretty sure you must have come across a student like this who comes to you and tells you, you know what, I only got 3 days to get the score.
Yeah.
Otherwise my visa will be cancelled. I have to get it. My agent told me, like, you got to get the score in next 3 days. Maybe, it's very rare. A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, max. 4 weeks is actually good. Like, I've got a lot of students who have to get the score next 2 weeks, 1 week, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
How do you handle that student? Like, how can you really prepare a student in as less as 48 hours? Let's say if you've got 2 or 3 days to prepare.
Okay, let's jot down to important questions.
Yeah.
Read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image, retell lecture, write essay, summarize written text, summarize spoken text, and write from dictation. According to me, I know a lot of people say repeat sentence and read aloud are the most important questions. According to me, write from dictation is the most important question in the entire exam. If you are getting 4 to 5 write from dictations to do, I tell my students you can't afford to even mess one of them up. That's how important that is.
Oh, really? And this is the last
question.
Which means you're already tired and exhausted.
You're already tired and exhausted. So there's a certain trick that we teach. And if you master that trick, of course, write from dictation will be a cakewalk for you. Write from dictation is one of the questions where the students score the least. And it's the most important question because it's not talked about that much. But according to me, that's the most important question.
Yes.
If you get those 4-5 questions right, not just your listening will be improved, it will give marks to the other modules as well. It's a very important question. So jot down the questions which you feel, which of course there's a pool of knowledge out there. Jot down the type of questions which you feel that you are the most important and work on them.
Right.
Develop strategies, see templates, figure out a certain template which works for you. But of course, saying that, what comes into play is that you need a trained professional to tell you that this is what works for you.
Correct.
If you're preparing on your own, there's only a certain limit that you can prepare to, right? A trained professional can guide you even better.
I see. And can you share one simple strategy for write from dictation?
Yeah, absolutely. So how I teach write from dictation is I use the initials method. So for example, if you have, your question is, the freedom of speech is important in all levels in the society. Now, of course, I can't remember the whole thing if I'm spending time writing it down.
Yeah.
It will just be poof. It will just go away from my head and my mind. So what you do is, firstly, you need to be very quick. That's something you need to master. Okay? What you do is you write the first initials of all the words.
Okay.
And then you go, after you've done that, then you go to the answer box and type it full. Sounds easy, but it's not once you do it. Because a certain sentence comes which is a 14-worded sentence, like a 15-worded sentence.
Yeah.
So your pen and your hand needs to be quick enough to type in all the first initials of every word and then go to the answer box and write it down in full. And of course, certain things are to be kept in mind. The first word always is capital. The last full stop has to be there.
Full stop has to be there.
Has to be there.
Yeah.
If there's a name, place name, city name, book name, movie name, it needs to be capital.
The first letter?
First letter needs
right?
to be capital.
Yes.
And of course, there's 2-3 things that adds as a bonus. For example, you need to understand how right from dictation is marked. So how is it marked? For example, Ragini got 8 words correct out of 10. Okay? I might have written 15 words. It's only going to pick up the words which are correct. Okay? Which gives you the leverage to add in an extra few words. For example, if I don't know spellings of a certain word, and I think this might be the word or this might be the correct spelling. Write both of them.
I see.
Write both of them. If you are confused between whether something was singular or plural, for example, was it apples or was it apple? You write both because it's going to pick up the correct word. You're not getting any negative marking for the wrong word that you've written, but it's just going to pick up the correct word. Prepositions, conjunctions. If you feel, was it an or was it a? If you're confused, add both. So it's giving you a leverage to add certain number of words. It's anyway going to pick up the correct word which you've written. Correct. But of course, it's very important to get the highest marks in right from dictation. Like I said, it's the most important question in the entire exam.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this because
absolutely.
I feel if you have like 2 or 3 days to prepare, you can probably spend one day, like one full day on just mastering right from dictation.
Yeah.
And what I'm also understanding is that understanding the strategy is not good enough. Like you've shared the strategy just now, but if you don't practice, you won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
So you have to use the initial strategy. You write the initials, but you know it. But if you don't practice it, you won't be able to implement that in the exam. Am I right?
Absolutely. It sounds easy. Sounds easy. Okay, I'm going to write the first letter.
Yeah.
But if you don't practice it, once you practice it the first time, you know that it's going to take time to master it.
Yeah. It's like someone is showing you how to drive the car, but unless you drive, you can't really drive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And how much practice for right? Let's actually not just write from dictation. If broadly speaking, and I'm pretty sure this question must be out there. I am in my 50s.
Okay.
I need to get 65. So I'm like 10 to 14 points behind from my desired score.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm aiming for 50, 65, 79, but I'm like 10 to 15. There's a big gap.
Yeah.
How long do I need to study for? How long the course? Yeah.
The answer to that can vary for student to student, but minimum of 4 weeks. Minimum of 4 weeks. We do something at EnglishWise called 4 weeks intensive program. That's a crash course.
Yeah.
And we only focus on, we're going to brush up all your topics. You've already given PTE, so you know what, you're aware of PTE, right? So if you've already gotten a 50, you're aware of all the things that you need to be aware of. We're going to brush up all the topics, and then we're going to only focus on practice and giving mock tests.
I see.
We'll see where you're lacking. If you're lacking in listening, you'll be doing lots and lots of practice sectional tests for listening. And apart from that, you'll be doing lots of mock tests as well. Whenever a new student comes to me and they are preparing, I always tell them, but before you leave from EnglishWise, you need to give me at least 5 mock tests. Why?
Yeah.
Because I can't judge your progress in the first test.
Yes.
If you only give one practice test to me, I can't judge your progress. You need to show me a consistent score.
Yes.
In 2 to 3 tests, and then I can tell you that yes, now is a good time to book your test. You need to show me consistency in your score.
I see.
Can't judge you in the first attempt.
Yes. Okay. And let's say if I am few points behind, so I am 4 or 5 points behind my desired score.
Yeah.
In all 4 modules, or if I am 4 or 5 points behind in 2 modules instead of all 4. How much time I'm looking at, and also if you can mention the number of hours that I need to put in.
I tell all students
basis.
to put at least 2 hours a day.
I think that's fair. That's very fair.
That's fair.
Yeah, you can't have any excuse.
No excuses.
For 2 hours a day, isn't
it? Absolutely. I think if you're lacking behind by 4 to 5 points or like even 6 to 7 points, you need training for at least 2 weeks. I'm not saying self-study. I'm saying training.
Training, not self-study. That's
You
right.
need training. And I think it'll be easier for students. They won't waste any money because it's for $480.
Yeah,
An attempt,
it's
it has been-
expensive now.
It's
Yes.
expensive. And students who've given it 6-7 times, just imagine the amount of money they've wasted.
Guys, spend few $100,
Yeah.
sort it out. Yeah,
Very important.
very important. Yeah, it's important because you're saving money and you're saving time. It's just a no-brainer. Taking the training, I feel, is yeah, you just save time and money, and who doesn't want that?
Absolutely. And you're getting education from a place where they have TESOL certified trainers. They have PTE IELTS certified trainers who've given the exams themselves. Like we know that our trainers were asked to give an exam after every 6 months. So they're also updated,
Yes.
right? It's not just you're just studying from a random person. No, you're not. You're studying from certified, qualified teachers who have taught over 5,000 students.
Yes.
So they know every type of student that comes in, and we're here to help you.
That's awesome. And I think this can be part of your assessment when you're choosing a center, a coaching center, or your PT trainer as well. You got to make sure that they've got minimum 79 plus, and also check when they did the test.
Yes.
It's important.
Absolutely. PT keeps changing.
Yes.
PT keeps changing.
How
after every-
updated is your trainer? Yeah.
Absolutely. And how updated is your software as well, where you're practicing. Now, there's these Chinese apps out there that we know of, and they are not accurate. I had a student who needed 36, a minimum of only 36 for his cookery course. And he came and he showed me somewhere he practiced and he got 62. And when he performed a quick assessment on the PT software that we have, he got a 27. So 62 and 27, it's
there's
a
a massive
no-brainer.
difference. Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. That person can't be scoring 62. So that's what's happening. People are buying these cheap softwares online and they think that they are doing well because that software is showing them that, okay, this is your score. You've got an 80. You're doing well. And that's the confidence that they have, and they go and give the test. And of course, they fail to get their desired score.
Yeah, pumping the ego, and you feel good, but you don't get the score.
Yeah, because those softwares are not following the PTE software, exactly the software is like. It's very important to practice on something which is very similar to the actual Pearson software.
That's right. That's right. So what would you recommend? Like we would definitely recommend students to sign up for EnglishWise PT portal. It's free for a couple of weeks. You see how you go. But is this the best option, or there are some, we can't really talk about the other companies out there, but then is it a good idea for students to explore and figure out which software is good for PT practice, or like how can I come to the conclusion like which software is the best?
I think there's a variety of softwares out there. We have our own.
Yes.
And that's something that I can personally vouch for myself.
You can't say
I can't say about other things.
Yeah, exactly.
I can vouch for my own software. I've seen students getting 90 each after practicing on our software. I've seen students getting 90 each after doing our templates. As you know, that we keep on updating our templates from time to time.
Yes.
PTE has recently flagged certain templates as well, which is something people need to keep in mind. If you gave PT 2 years ago and you need to give it again now, don't use your old templates. Please keep that in mind.
I see.
It's been flagged. Like, we make our in-house templates that our trainers sit down and create, so you won't be finding them out there in the market. Why PTE has flagged certain templates is because everyone was using the same thing.
Same template. Yeah.
For describe image, there's a picture in front of me. I have got 40 seconds to speak about this picture. That has been flagged. That was super easy to learn.
Yeah.
Super easy to learn. Now PT has gone stricter. Like people say, it's an easy exam comparatively to IELTS. Yes, it's easy. Because why? It's completely different, first of all. And of course, it's a strategy-based exam. So you need to learn certain templates. But if you are still following the old templates, it's not going to work out. You won't get the score.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, great conversation so far. There's a lot to learn. I mean, I personally got to know a few new things here. I tend to ask similar questions in my podcast because everybody has a different view. And I want students who are watching this podcast to have those different perspectives, because one of them can really work for you. So I think that's been very helpful. And thank you so much for giving a fresh perspective on a lot of things today. Talking about the templates, again, too many templates out there. Everybody has to use the same template, or depending on what score you're aiming for? Like, this is a very important question. There's a lot of gray areas when it comes to templates.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that?
So we actually have two types of templates.
Yeah.
One is for people who are not scoring, who don't need a higher score, and one is for people who are scoring an 80 or a 90 each.
Yeah.
So that is something that they can choose for themselves. Of course, those two templates are very different. One is an easy one for people who need 30, 40 each, and one is for people who need 80, 90. Okay, so that's something that you can choose for yourself.
I see.
I can't vouch for templates that are out there. I don't want to. But the templates that we have, not just because I'm from here, but I've seen it myself happening.
Yeah, you've seen the results, basically.
I've seen the results. I've
Yeah.
seen students getting 80, 90 each following our templates. Why? Because they've been created in-house. Trained professionals have created them and they have shown results. That's why I can vouch for them.
Correct. So IELTS or PTE, if you have an option, what test you should go for? Is there a kind of audience where you feel IELTS would be a better option for them, or everybody should just go for PTE?
If student comes to me and he says that he has two options, wherever he's applying for accepts the two, I suggest PTE. But there are certain authorities, for example, teachers registration, they don't accept PTE. They only accept IELTS or ISLPR.
I would really like you to talk a little bit about ISLPR if you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's not much information about the test out there.
Yeah.
What is this ISLPR test and how different it is from IELTS? Because these are the two options you would have, right?
Yeah.
If you're applying for a teaching registration, you either have an option to go for IELTS or ISLPR.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is really the difference?
So there's a lot of difference, even though they're catering to the same audience. But
Yeah.
the difference with ISLPR is it's basically for people who want to go for teachers registration.
I see.
Now your questions will be customized according to what you are going for. For example, I'm giving ISLPR because I want to become a teacher in Australia. So my questions will be customized to a point where they will give me situations where I'm a teacher and a certain situation has happened and I need to write a review as a teacher that what happened in the classroom today.
Correct.
So that is what they're judging. It's not just your English is just not being checked. The quality of your ideas, the situation, crisis management is being checked through your English. So that's a whole different ballgame compared to IELTS, even though it's catering to the same audience.
Which one would you recommend? I mean, I know it's a very subjective question. They may not, I mean, love to know your thoughts. Like,
Absolutely.
Can you
So-
give a clear-cut answer, or it really depends?
I don't want to give a clear-cut answer on that. I had a student, so if you want to become a teacher in Australia, you need a 7788. So you need 88 in writing and speaking and 77 in the other two. So some students fail to do that. They don't get their desired score and they just don't want to give IELTS anymore because they've given the attempt 2-3 times and they've just made their mind that this is a test I'm not going to do. They are the ones who go for ISLPR.
I see.
Usually. Not just because ISLPR is not a widely known test, let's be honest, but that's something we teach. So if a student comes to me and he has two options, of course I will suggest IELTS, but there are many students who just don't want to give IELTS and want to give a ISLPR because that's completely focusing on not just your English like IELTS is, but ISLPR is completely focusing on your teacher's mindset.
I see. Which is good because if you are
Some
applying
people
for...
are confident in that.
Yeah,
that if I'm
because-
given a situation, I can handle it, I can write about it. Some people are confident in that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. That's great. So ISLPR, how much is the test and how long do you think a student should prepare? If you can give us a bit of
20
idea
to
on that.
30 sessions at least for ISLPR. I always suggest a minimum of 20 sessions.
Private
And
sessions?
Private sessions,
Yeah.
one-on-one sessions. Why? Because this test is customized to
customized.
every person's need. So you need to tell your trainer that this is my background, this is why I'm giving ISLPR, so how can you help me? There's a 1 hour interview that happens in ISLPR with a trained professional from their organization. Just like how like a quick 15-minute test happens for speaking in IELTS, there's a 1 hour session that goes on for ISLPR. And they ask you various type of questions related to your background, how you handle things. If you have children at home, how do you handle certain conflicts? If you can't handle those conflicts, how will you handle those conflicts in a classroom? So it's all customized basically according to what the student is applying for in terms of ISLPR.
Yes. And thinking about ISLPR and the mode of teaching, online, face-to-face, these days, both options are widely available.
Yeah.
A lot of places offer online coaching as well. You do face-to-face yourself. What's really the difference, and is there any particular mode of teaching that you would recommend?
Well, online students usually go for online are usually the ones who are busy during the day, who are working during the day. Either they're managing work or uni or family, and they only have night time to prepare. Right?
I see.
They go for online because they can choose their own timings, they can choose their own days as well. So even if they want a late night class at like 11, we are here to give a class to them at 11. Recently, I had a student come to me who enrolled for PTE, and the timetable that she gave me was 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. Why? She said, I have a little baby and she sleeps late, and that's the only time I can give you class. I can take your class.
Yeah.
So she chose 1 a.m. time slot. And we have various type of questions, right? In terms of what are the timings. Students who can't manage during the day, they are the ones who go for online. But if you can manage during the day, then why not? Face-to-face is as equally credible as online.
Online, yes.
Equally, we've seen results. We've seen the proven results. That's how we can vouch for both. Both are equally good.
Yeah. Guys, especially with EnglishWise, the kind of infrastructure we've built around our online training is super good, and you won't really feel any difference between face-to-face and online coaching. And as Ragini said, there are students who are doing classes with us 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So we have a pretty extensive timetable when it comes to PT and IELTS and ISLPR classes, 7 days. So that gives you that opportunity to prepare. No excuses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It was lovely having a chat with you, Ragini. I really mean it. Any last thing that you would like to share with students who are on this journey to get their English done, to apply for permanent residency?
Yep.
What would you like to?
One thing which I tell all the students who come for consultation, don't leave it for the last moment. Don't leave your preparation for the last moment. Prepare in a timely manner, create your schedule, meet up with a consultant. They can tell you, they can guide you that how much time you will need to get a certain score. Don't leave it for the last moment.
That's a wonderful advice. There is no tomorrow.
Yeah.
You make it happen today. So if guys, this is something that's pending at your end, you are thinking about it, don't think anymore. You can contact Ragini as well. She's here in Gold Coast, but if you guys want to connect with her, if you want to learn more from her, we can provide her details, and she'll be more than happy to help.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you once again, Ragini. It was a wonderful chat. I really enjoyed, and I look forward to doing more podcasts with you.
Thank you, Shivi. It was my honor.
Thank you.